Phoenix Dance Against the Wind, the Rebirth Concubine of the Champion Shousuke. Chapter 1, The First Acquaintance. Shadow under the lamp. In the dead of night, the candle light flickered. Shen Wanyu held a yellowed manuscript of the imperial examination, and the words exuded the fragrance of aged ink. Her eyebrows and eyes frowned slightly, and her fingers slid gently along the handwriting, which was the story of Gu Yuchen, a legend of an ancient genius. Gu Yuchen, whose reputation is like thunder, was appointed by the emperor as the champion in the palace examination at the age of 21, and then his official fortune prospered, and he became the first assistant in the court, but at the age of 16, he was tortured in prison because his wife and adulterer framed him, and died young. Shen Wanyu had mixed feelings in her heart, and silently sighed about that tragic fate. Who would have thought that she would have crossed over to become the cannon fodder ex-wife of the big guy and Gu Yuchen's wife Lu Suning. Chapter 2, The First Encounter in Cold Prison. Scarred. The prison door was locked, and the wind was gusting. Lu Suning walked in a hurry, and his heart was like a mess. The memories of her previous life let her know that Gu Yuchen was now tortured to death. In the cell, Gu Yuchen was ragged and his face was full of sores, but his eyes were still resolute. Holding back tears, Lu Wuning pressed the kettle close to his lips, carefully fed him water, and wiped his wounds. "I'll save you, Yuchen." Her voice trembled, but she was full of determination. Gu Yuchen smiled faintly, but a trace of coldness flashed in his eyes. He didn't believe this woman who had been vain and stupid, however, he didn't expect that Lu Suning had really changed. Chapter 3, The First Light of Dawn. Reborn in Adversity. Lu Suning began to run around, plotting to raise funds and connections for Gu Yuchen. She rejected the temptation of elopement with money in the past and chose to stick to it. Time flies, Gu Yuchen walked out of the shadows, and gradually rose to prominence, becoming the first assistant. In the back house, only Lu Suning silently guarded, which was in stark contrast to the betrayal of the past. People say she is as beautiful as a fox, but the Prime Minister refused the marriage granted by the Emperor. Rumors were rife in the court, but Lu Suning remained calm and composed in the storm. Chapter 4, Divorce. The Decision of the Champion. Lu Suning finally decided that Gu Yuchen, who had a successful career, no longer needed her protection, and she decided to file for divorce. After Gu Yuchen heard this, his face was cold, and his eyes were cold. "Do you want to leave?" Lu Wuning didn't finish speaking, but he interrupted him. "I won't." He approached slowly, his eyes deep. "Whose wife do you want to be besides me?" She was stunned, and her heart tightened suddenly. Chapter 5, Abstinence. Broken. A maelstrom of love and power. Gu Yuchen has always been upright and serious, but at this moment, he is showing unprecedented domineering and possessiveness. Lu Suning is both angry and helpless, and the former cold Xiaofu has now become a black-hearted husband. The relationship between the two has gradually developed a strange tacit understanding and affection in the wind and rain from the suspicion and alienation in the past. Lu Suning found herself not only redeemed by this man, but also gradually conquered by him. Chapter 6, Undercurrents in the Palace. Diverting trouble to others. However, the palace is in turmoil, and the old adulterer Li Chenglan is still hiding in the shadows, and the intrigues are continuous. Gu Yuchen and Lu Suning face internal and external troubles together, work together to expose the conspiracy, and protect the imperial power and family. The betrayal and pain of the past gradually dissolved in their trust and hard work, and their emotions became stronger and stronger. Chapter 7, Phoenix returns to the nest. Prosperity and rebirth. Above the court, Gu Yuchen is powerful all over the world, and Lu Wuning has become his most solid backing. The two joined hands to create a new chapter in the prosperous era, and the former cannon fodder ex-wife finally became the most dazzling phoenix of the dynasty. Their story has become a good story for future generations, proving that true love and perseverance can reverse fate and create new glories. Chapter 8, Deep within the palace walls, the secret storm. Since Gu Yuchen became the first assistant, there was an undercurrent surging in the court. Although Li Chenglan was defeated, he was not dead. He lurked in the palace, formed a party for personal gain, and waited for an opportunity to turn the tables. What's even more tricky is that a mysterious figure suddenly appeared, named Mo Lycan, whose background is a mystery, but he has sowed discord in the DPRK and China many times, causing Gu Yuchen to fall into an unprecedented crisis. Relying on the wisdom and tenacity of the past, Lu Suning secretly investigates the origin of this ink separation. She found that this person seemed to have a deep relationship with Gu Yuchen's family, and he even hid a long-sealed secret. One night, Lu Wuning unexpectedly met Mo Lion in the secret passage of the Deep Palace. The other party smiled indifferently and whispered, "You think you saved Yuchen, but the real challenge has just begun." Lu Suning responded coldly, "As long as I am alive, he will not fall." As the two were in a cold war, a storm began to rise outside the palace walls. Chapter 9, The Wind and Rain, A Rift of Trust. As Mo Lycan's conspiracy gradually surfaced, Gu Yuchen's cronies began to encounter accidents one after another. The DPRK and China parliamentarians were also bribed, and Gu Yuchen felt deep pressure, and even began to doubt Lu Suning's loyalty. Lu Suning sensed his doubts, and her heart was inevitably painful. One day, she asked Gu Yuchen to have a deep conversation in the imperial garden, and said bluntly, "Yuchen, I have never thought of betraying you. If you have any doubts in your heart, please tell me. I am willing to wash it away with everything." Gu Yuchen was silent for a long time, and finally spread out an anonymous letter in his hand, which implied that Lu Suning and Mo Lishang were conspiring. Lu Suning's eyes were firm. "This is a conspiracy. You have to trust me." Gu Yuchen smiled bitterly. Trust is more difficult to hold than power. The relationship between the two is in an unprecedented crisis. Chapter 10, Reunion stood. Just as Lu Suning was trying to clear himself, an urgent summons from the emperor changed the situation. There were signs of serious rebellion in the DPRK, and Gu Yuchen and Lu Suning had to join forces to deal with it. The two conspired to take advantage of the contradiction between Li Xunlan and Mo Lian to successfully induce them to expose each other's conspiracy. At the critical moment, Gu Yuchen stepped forward and showed the courtiers the ironclad evidence that Lu Suning had exposed the rebellion. Everyone was amazed that the two of them worked together, and the rift in the past was instantly dissolved. Lu Suning was so moved that her eyes filled with tears. The two joined hands again and vowed to weather the storm together. Chapter 11, Palace Fireworks. Shadows gradually disperse. After the rebellion was quelled, Gu Yuchen was powerful in front of the emperor and the court was stable, but he understood that the real challenge was not over. Lu Wuning became more and more active in the court, and became an indispensable female force around the emperor with her intelligence and gentleness. She managed to improve the lives of court women and even secretly pushed for reforms. The relationship between the two grows deeper, the Shoufu mansion is full of laughter, and the grief and intrigue of the past are gradually becoming a thing of the past. However, the shadows in the distance have not yet dissipated. Chapter 12, A New Dark Tide. The Exercise of Power. The true identity of Mo Lycan has finally been revealed. He is actually Gu Yuchen's half-brother, who is resentful of the family dispute and secretly plots to seize power. Gu Yuchen was faced with the choice between bloodline and loyalty, and the court shook for a while. Lu became his strongest supporter and secretly collected evidence in an attempt to resolve the dispute between the brothers. Late at night, Gu Yuchen and Mo Lycan confronted each other in the palace secret room, and their brotherhood and hatred were fiercely intertwined. Lu Wuning waited anxiously outside, silently reciting in his heart, "This battle is not only a test of power, but also a test of family affection." Chapter 13, Dawn of Light, Reconciliation and Rebirth. After several days of negotiation and emotional interweaving, Gu Yuchen and Mo Lycan finally reached a settlement. Mo Lycan was pardoned, reformed his ways, and became a strong supporter of the DPRK and China. Gu Yuchen and Lu Suning also proved the indestructibility of love in the wind and rain. The emperor rewarded the two and gave a banquet to the palace, and everyone praised the pair of Mandarin ducks who worked together to create a prosperous world. Lu Suning looked back at the prison and darkness and whispered, "We are all born again." Underscore 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 un. Chapter 14, The Lights of 10,000 Homes. The saga is not over. Gu Yuchen and Lu Suning spend the rest of their lives hand in hand, which is not only the pinnacle of power, but also a monument of love. Their stories were recited into songs by posterity and became legends that never faded in the court. However, life is like a play, and there are always new storms waiting to be unveiled under the prosperous times. The story is not over yet, and the wings of the phoenix are still dancing in the wind.